What is going on, guys? So my last video didn't give it away. I am leaving California in a week, actually. Well, here's where I'm going next week. I want to keep it as a little bit of a surprise, but I'm making this video because a lot of people I've talked to have had this thought on their mind. So I want to give my input as a 21-year-old fresh out of college, working in tech, as to why I chose to leave California for people thinking about leaving or possibly coming to the state. Just for a little bit of background, I moved to the East Bay from a suburb in Chicago about 7 years ago. I finished up high school here, went to college at UC Santa Cruz, spent the past half year in San Francisco. Obviously, California is a very massive place. I have not been to all the major cities even. When I'm saying generally California, I'm referring mostly to the East Bay since that's where I've lived. And obviously in this video, I'm not gonna be saying the most positive things about California since I am leaving. But you know, this video is my opinions. So with all that being said, let's hop straight into it. So first off, the cost of living just does not match the quality of life. It doesn't even come close. I think most people know that California has very high income taxes, but we also have insanely high property taxes, sales tax, state disability tax, gas tax, highest vehicle registration, you have to pay for grocery bags. I could really go on endlessly. I actually got a promotion recently from a software engineering intern position to a full-time software engineer. And I was more than disappointed, to say the least, that $800 a month is going to the state in income and state disability tax. Additionally, on top of that, everything is just much more expensive here, from rent and housing to gas, utilities, groceries. Really the key thing being housing. House in my old neighborhood it was in the East Bay. It went for almost $1 million over asking price this past year. And the average cost of a house in the Bay Area is $1.06 million. But really, if you want a decent house, let's say a 3-bedroom, 3-bath with a nice sized lot and decent schools, it'll run you at least $2 million bucks. There was a recent study that came out that's asked people who were planning to leave California, and of those people, 85% cited housing costs as their main reason. Now, in all honesty, I am a software engineer, so we're compensated pretty well, and I thankfully work for a great company. So these numbers aren't too scary. But a cost of living this high, well, just starting off in life, is such a major setback. I have things I wanna do, like travel, have a decent apartment, where I'm working on a few things on the side, and some of that just gotta budge if I wanna be able to afford a decent house in the Bay Area when I get older. You know, just for example, assuming my salary would never change and I was making the same amount of money until I retired, if I didn't have to pay state income and SDI tax, that money, if I just invested it, would be worth over $3 million bucks after inflation when I retire. So you guys get the point. It is very expensive to live in California. But what do I get from a cost of living this high? We'll tell you today, just from this morning, the roads here are horrendous. In fact, they're so bad in the Bay Area, it costs every driver an extra estimated $1,000 per year in extra fuel and maintenance costs. Additionally, traffic is awful. Every morning when I go to the gym, I get a glimpse of 580 on Mountain House Parkway, and there's always bumper to bumper traffic on weekdays at 6 a.m. It usually starts at 4 and ends at around 8. And the same thing coming back from about 3:30 to 6. Another example is a 24-hour gym I used to go to is one town over, and it's 20 minutes with no traffic. But with traffic, it's between 38 to 42 minutes. So I just went to a different gym now that's closer because I just can't deal with that much traffic. It's pretty bad here, and the Bay Area is ranked 7th in the country for worst traffic. And I'm just easing you guys into the bad stuff. Crime has been soaring in the Bay Area, especially violent crimes, car break-ins, and retail theft. Homelessness is out of control, especially in big cities like SF and Oakland. You can go to any underpass there and it's crawling with tents, and just about any city street, along with people just openly injecting hardcore drugs. I mentioned in my video last week that the cities here, SF in particular, are just much dirtier. And when I go to other big cities in other parts of the country, it's just not anywhere near this bad. Like, I'm pleasantly surprised to not see trash, feces, and needles just spoon just all over the streets. And then when you throw droughts, wildfires, and gang activity in the mix, you don't really have a great state to live in. And just a fun fact, my biggest fear when living in SF was that I would accidentally sit on a needle in some sort of public transport. And just last week, someone posted on Reddit like a needle sticking out of a BART seat. Now, of course, there are amazing places to live here and awesome neighborhoods that don't have most of those issues. Those places come at an insanely high premium. I'm talking about multi-million-dollar houses. Which brings me to today's video sponsor, WeBull. I'm sure you guys all know one of the best ways to make money long-term is through the stock market. And you can get 2 free stocks worth between $30 to $1,600 each, clicking that first link in the description below, opening a WeBull brokerage account, and making any size deposit. So you guys were to click that link, make a 1 cent deposit, you get those 2 free stocks between $30 to $1,600 each. And it's one of the best ways to kickstart your financial success. If you guys already have a brokerage account, you can open one through WeBull anyway, and it's free money. And when I visit other states, I'm pretty shocked to see what a dollar gets me over there, what the public utilities are like, and what the overall atmosphere is. Sure, in California, we have some amazing weather, beautiful natural scenery, and great food. But the reality is I'm not paying all this money to sit in traffic for 3 hours to go to the beach. So overall, the cost of living, quality of life mismatch is the main reason why I'm choosing to leave California. Now, the next reason is I'm not tied down to this place through my career. You know that a lot of companies, tech companies in particular, went fully remote during the pandemic. And even before the pandemic, it wasn't uncommon for people to come to the office 2 or 3 times a week or be fully remote. Once the pandemic kicked in, almost, I don't want to say all, but a lot of tech companies have gone fully remote for at least the next 2 years. Even when I do choose to go to our company's SF office, 9 out of 10 seats are empty. It is a ghost town. Even when there was a few big events when they flew people in, 4 out of 5 seats at least were empty. And if I'm not getting the benefits of being in an office, then I don't see the purpose of staying here. Additionally, the Bay Area has lost a bit of its spark as being the tech king of the world, with a lot of companies moving to other places. I know HP, Oracle, and Tesla have left. HP is the big one because that company was what defined the birthplace of Silicon Valley. But as they leave the places with more reasonable taxes and regulations, you see other tech hubs like Austin, DFW, Denver, Boston, Atlanta growing. So again, if I want to be in a tech hub, the Bay Area is no longer the only real option. But really with companies now, and my company especially, being fully remote, there's just no need to stay tied to California. Now, the next reasons revolve around politics and culture. Starting off with politics, it should come as no surprise that California is a very liberal state with one of the most liberal cities and universities in the country. It's very clear here that if you don't support certain issues in a certain way, you get this widespread judgment from a lot of people. There's definitely this echo chamber of the same few ideas, and a lot of people here tend to be tied solely to their political identity. It's as if that's all there is about them, not just on one side, but on both sides of the aisle. I was actually at my university not too long ago, and I was just noticing that how rare it is to have groups of friends that have different political views. People here tend to migrate to other people that share their same views, tend to, which is a bit of a generalization. It causes a lot more polarization than I've seen in other parts of the country, even during, more politically turmoil times that we're in. Now, this isn't really a big deal to me. What I take issue with is how intertwined politics is with your everyday life. Everything from what's in your Reddit and Instagram feed to what you're taught in high school and college. I get that some of that is unavoidable just because of how life works. But nowadays, especially here, it feels like everything revolves around politics. From what the trainings you have at work, to the forms and regulations you fill out, to the taxes you pay, to the signs you walk by, it's always just up in your face. And again, especially during the pandemic, when I visit other places in the country, politics aren't in your face this often and warped to the extremes. And I'd much rather live in a place like that where it's not, that big of a deal, generally speaking, than a place like the Bay Area. Now, in terms of culture, in my personal belief, because it is so expensive to live here, there's more of this rat race at the top where you need to get into a slightly better apartment, a slightly better school, you need to get a better job, a better car, and everyone's racing to outcompete everyone else because the cost of living is so high. I originally thought this was like a social media thing, but I really believe now that because of how expensive California is, plus a bit of like celebrity culture, that everyone's competing to, I don't want to say showboat, but to move up in the ladder. After living in San Francisco, it was crazy to see how married people were to their jobs, where people live to work instead of work to live. Nobody really seemed to relax or have fun besides, drinks on a Friday or Saturday night. People were always walking and get something done, to do something, and never just enjoying themselves. Again, this is a bit of a generalization. I also lived in the poorer part of SF because it was so expensive, in the lower Nob Hill, which is, I think, part of the Tenderloin. So then again, because people were struggling to get by because it was so expensive, they just didn't seem as happy. And I've also noticed a bit more hypocrisy here, where people will claim to be big advocates of social issues when they're really just performative activists or virtue signalers. For example, SF voted to supervise injection sites where drug addicts can just come in and get clean needles and someone will supervise them doing hardcore drugs. But when push came to shove, it's, okay, we're gonna build this here, which is actually on my block where I used to live. Everyone's like, oh no, we don't want it here, it cannot be here, it has to be somewhere else, let's move it that way or this way. And the same thing kind of applies with the homeless, with low income housing and with homeless shelters. Everyone supports them except when it comes to being built where they are. They always want it somewhere else. Then the last reason why I'm leaving California is because I don't see a positive future here. Believe me, I am a very optimistic person. I know with all the craziness in the world, people have very negative views of what will happen. I think the future will be awesome, but in California, I can't see that happening. It seems like the bubble is gonna grow and grow until it pops. You know, I'm all for unique ways to solve problems, even if I don't agree with them, like paying people not to commit crimes or paying people not to do drugs, which SF has done, or make any amount of money stolen under $950 a misdemeanor, not a felony. But eventually you gotta look in the mirror and realize that this stuff is not working. You know, homeless is another issue that I'm passionate about because I lived in the poor part of SF. The city keeps spending and taxing more and more towards homelessness. I think it reached a record $1.1 billion. And homelessness is just getting worse every single year. I know this is another thing I talked about in my last video, but it seems like all our politicians just say awesome things about California all the time, but we as residents can see that that is not the case. Things are not looking that great, especially in places like SF. And even though people here are used to spending a lot of money and getting not that much in return, it's getting to a point now where I don't see this as feasible and nothing is changing. You know, if it was to have a family here, I'd have to deal with the fact of housing being insanely expensive. And even once I saved up that 20% for a nice house, by the time I did that, housing would have gone up, it's not going down. And also the fact that if I had kids, then there's certain schools here are just not giving out D's and F's to students. It's everyone gets a C minimum. If they go to college here, they're gonna be Asians, they're gonna face discrimination in getting into a good college in state, or as I deal with paying out of state college costs. I just don't see a future where I wanna be here, where it's beneficial. Anyway guys, all those reasons are why I am leaving California. I know this video is all just negative things, but know there are some amazing things about California. And again, even if I might not have loved every moment I spent here, I'm glad I got the experience to be here. And I really do hope that, you know, with the people living in the state, we're able to enact change where California becomes the dream it once was, or people chose to come here to better their lives. But again, I just don't see that happening, which is why I am leaving California. So thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys did enjoy this video. Again, these are just my opinions, so don't take them too seriously. But if there's anything I forgot to mention, any thoughts you guys have, let me know in the comments section. And thank you guys again for watching. I'll see you guys next week for the next video.